Have you ever stopped and really considered why so many men have a deep, almost unspoken desire for one very specific act of intimacy? The act of kissing you in the most private, vulnerable places. For some women, just hearing that question can feel shocking, even uncomfortable. And yet, for countless men, this desire isn't just fleeting curiosity. It's a deep instinctual drive rooted in biology, emotion, and connection. The truth that most women over 50 rarely hear is that understanding this desire can transform the way you see intimacy, your body, and even your relationship in ways you might never have imagined. I'm Dr. Lila Romano, and I've spent decades working with women navigating life after 50, helping them reclaim not just their health, but their vitality, their confidence, and their ability to experience joy and intimacy. And today, I'm going to give you the full truth, the biology, the psychology, and the deeply human reason behind this desire, and by the end, I promise you will never see it the same way again. Over the years, I've met thousands of women who carried quiet doubts, feelings of shame, and unanswered questions about their sexual relationships. The women who sat across from me almost too embarrassed to speak. And the question beneath every one of those conversations was always the same, even when it wasn't spoken out loud. Why does this still matter so much to him? And why does it make me feel so conflicted? The truth is, most women over 50 were never given the tools to understand this desire. You were raised in a culture that silenced conversations about female pleasure, that told you intimacy was something to be modest about, to keep private, to deprioritize once the years began to pile up. And so when your partner approaches you with this specific kind of devotion, the natural response for many women is confusion or self-consciousness or the quiet but persistent thought, does he really still want me? Or is this just a habit? Here is what I need you to hear right now before we go any further. That confusion, that doubt is costing you something real. It is standing between you and one of the most profound forms of connection available in a long-term relationship. And the misunderstanding at the root of it all? That this act is about his pleasure. Because the research, the clinical evidence, and decades of real patient experience tell a completely different story. And that is exactly what we are going to unpack today. So let's answer the question directly. Why do men love this so much? And I don't mean on the surface. I mean, what is actually driving this desire at its deepest level? The first layer is biological. The area your partner is drawn to is one of the most neurologically rich and sensitive regions in the entire human body. We are talking about thousands of nerve endings more concentrated in that single location than almost anywhere else on the human frame. These nerve endings are directly connected to the brain's pleasure and bonding centers. When they are stimulated, they trigger an immediate cascade of neurochemicals: oxytocin, the bonding hormone; dopamine, the reward chemical; endorphins, your body's natural stress relievers. A 2016 review published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine confirmed that direct oral stimulation of this region produces some of the most potent neurochemical bonding responses the human body is capable of generating. And here is what matters most about that. Men, often unconsciously, often without being able to articulate it, sense this. They are drawn to this act because something primal in them understands that it holds the key to their partner's deepest pleasure. They are not chasing something for themselves. They are trying to give something that nothing else quite replaces. Which brings us to the second layer, and this is the one that changes everything. What's fascinating is that the desire behind this act is often about devotion rather than lust. Men choose this act as a form of giving, not taking. When he takes the time, the care, and the attention to pleasure you in this way, it is a declaration. It is a message that says, I see you. I appreciate you. I want to give you joy, and your pleasure matters deeply to me. In these moments, his focus is entirely on you. The emotional satisfaction he derives is not physical. It is the profound reward of watching the woman he loves respond, the softening of her body, the change in her breath, the release of tension from her muscles. That is his payoff. That is everything. I often use this analogy with my patients. Imagine a man who spends 3 hours cooking a perfect dinner for someone he loves. He isn't hungry. He doesn't need the food. But he wants, deeply, genuinely wants, to see the look on her face when she takes that first bite. That is what he's hungry for. That is exactly what is happening when a man desires this act. He is not seeking gratification. He is seeking the profound emotional satisfaction of watching the woman he loves feel joy because of something he gave her. When you understand that, everything shifts. You stop seeing his desire as something to be managed or tolerated. You start seeing it for what it truly is, a declaration. Him saying, without a single word, your pleasure matters to me more than my own right now. And the third layer is relational, and perhaps the most urgent one of all. After 50, this form of intimacy is often the first thing that quietly disappears from a relationship. Life gets busier. Bodies change. Self-consciousness creeps in. And slowly, without either partner fully realizing it, one of the most tender forms of connection they share simply stops happening. And when it does, something shifts in the relationship. A warmth goes missing, a closeness that can't quite be named, but is absolutely felt. I remember a patient, a woman in her late 60s, who sat across from me almost embarrassed to speak. She said, "Doctor, I don't understand why my husband still insists on this. He's almost my age, and yet this seems so important to him. Why does it matter so much?" Her question was simple, but the layers of doubt and insecurity beneath it were not. And the truth I shared with her is this: if your partner still desires this with you, after years together, after all the changes your body has been through, that is not him being demanding. That is him choosing you. Actively. Deliberately. It is him saying that the years between you have not dimmed his desire. They have deepened it. Now, before we go further, have you ever misread a partner's desire as judgment rather than devotion? Tell me in the comments below. You might just help another woman feel less alone. Now let's talk about what is actually happening inside your body, because the science here is extraordinary, and most women have never heard any of it. Biologically, this act is rooted in an understanding men have, often unconscious, of the body sensitivity. The area in question is rich with nerve endings more than almost anywhere else, making it extraordinarily responsive to touch. When a man engages with you there, he is not just seeking stimulation for himself. He is actively working to awaken your body, your senses, and your nervous system in a way that is deeply connective. Emotionally, it is intimate, tender, and profoundly meaningful all at once. But here is what changes after menopause and why this matters more than most women realize. When estrogen levels decline, blood flow to that area naturally decreases. Tissues become thinner, drier, and less responsive. And when that happens, many women unconsciously pull away from closeness. They protect themselves from an experience that now feels uncertain or even uncomfortable. And I understand that completely. But here is the critical truth that the research from the Cleveland Clinic and the NIH confirms: that pulling back actually accelerates the problem. The tissues in that region depend on regular stimulation and blood flow to stay healthy, supple, and responsive. The medical principle at work here is what researchers call genital use-dependent maintenance, but I prefer a simpler phrase: use it or lose it. Every time gentle, loving stimulation occurs, fresh oxygen and nutrients are delivered to those tissues. Blood vessels open wider. Collagen production is supported. Natural lubrication is encouraged. The irony is that gentle, loving stimulation, the kind that focuses on giving rather than performance, can actually restore that circulation and awaken natural lubrication. It is nature's own way of healing itself through connection, through affection, through love. And the benefits extend far beyond the physical. There are real, measurable advantages for women who embrace this form of intimacy. Increased blood flow enhances tissue health, combats dryness naturally, and heightens sensitivity. The release of oxytocin and endorphins lowers stress, improves sleep quality, and even strengthens the cardiovascular system. A 2012 paper published in Psychoneuroendocrinology linked oxytocin release through intimate touch to measurable reductions in blood pressure and cortisol. Pleasure is not just a reward. It is medicine for the body, mind, and spirit. But here is where I need to speak to you directly about something many women never hear. Understanding the biology is only half the picture, because many women tell me, Dr. Romano, I understand what you're saying. I know my body can still respond. But when the moment comes, I tense up. I go into my head. Nothing feels the way it should. And when I hear that, my answer is always the same. That is not a body problem. That is a nervous system problem. Your body cannot open to pleasure if your mind believes it is under threat. For many women, years of self-consciousness, unspoken fears about their changing bodies, and internalized cultural messaging have placed their nervous system in a state of constant low-level alert. And when your mind says, "I'm not sure I'm desirable anymore," your body hears that. Muscles tighten. Blood vessels constrict. The tissues that are perfectly capable of responding never get the signal they need. The experience falls flat not because your body failed you, but because your mind never gave it clearance to succeed. This is why the most powerful thing you can do before technique, before preparation, before anything else, is learn to signal safety to your own nervous system. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that right now. But before we get to the practical steps, I want to talk about the 3 mistakes I see most often, because recognizing them is the first step to moving past them. The first mistake is believing that age has automatically taken away your sensuality. I have heard this whispered in my office more times than I can count, usually by women who once felt deeply confident in their own skin, now unsure whether their partner still truly wants them. They tell themselves, "That part of my life is over." But the body doesn't work that way. According to the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic, while estrogen levels decline, the brain's capacity for pleasure, touch, and bonding remains fully intact. The nerve endings that once responded to touch are still there. They just need consistent circulation and stimulation to awaken again. When you close yourself off, when you decide you've aged out of intimacy, your brain begins to believe it too. But when you allow gentle connection, when you say yes again, your body remembers. The second mistake is thinking your partner is judging your body. I remember a woman, 62 years old, who came to me with tears in her eyes. "Doctor," she said, "I can't let my husband see me anymore. My body looks different. I feel dry. I'm afraid he'll notice." But when I spoke with her husband, what he said broke my heart. "I just want her to let me love her." That is a story I hear over and over. Men in long marriages don't crave perfection. They crave connection. They want to feel useful, trusted, close. When you pull away out of self-consciousness, he doesn't feel relief. He feels rejection. And rejection, even unspoken, builds invisible walls over time. The third mistake is treating intimacy as an obligation rather than an opportunity. When it becomes something to endure rather than experience, the body senses it immediately. Tension replaces openness. Performance replaces presence. But when you slow down, when you breathe, when you allow yourself to simply receive, your body responds in extraordinary ways. Intimacy after 50 is not about what your body used to do. It is about what it is still fully capable of right now when given safety, patience, and time. So here is exactly what I recommend. For steps, simple, grounded in real physiology, and accessible to any woman starting from wherever she is right now. Step 1. Begin with your mind. Each evening, take just 5 quiet minutes alone. Place your hand gently over your lower abdomen. Breathe slowly and deeply, not to force anything, but simply to reconnect with your body as something that belongs to you. Research from the National Institutes of Health has shown that mindful pelvic breathing increases blood flow to the pelvic floor by up to 30%. You are not just relaxing. You are physiologically preparing your body to feel again. Do this daily, not only before intimacy, but as a regular, private practice of self-reconnection. Step 2. Prepare your environment with intention. And I want to be clear, this is not about perfection. It is about peace of mind. Take a warm shower. Use a mild, pH-balanced cleanser. If dryness is a concern, a small amount of pure coconut oil or vitamin E oil applied externally is safe, gentle, and deeply effective for comfort. Dim the lights. Light a candle. Create a space that feels calm and private. These are not superficial gestures. They are signals you are sending to your own nervous system. I am safe here. I am welcome here. I am ready to receive it. When the mind feels safe, the body can respond fully. Step 3. Communicate openly. The most intimate thing two people can do is tell each other the truth about what they need. A simple sentence, "It feels better when you slow down," or "I love when you start more gently," is not a criticism. It is an invitation. And most partners receive it as a gift because it gives them a map to making you feel extraordinary. Open conversation transforms vulnerability from a source of anxiety into a source of deep connection and trust. Step 4. Breathe out instead of tightening. This is the single most powerful thing you can do at the moment. The instant you feel your body beginning to tense, breathe out slowly, completely. That one action sends a direct signal to your nervous system that you are safe. Muscles soften. Blood flow increases. Sensitivity heightens. Everything your body is capable of becomes available to you again. It sounds almost too simple, but I have watched this single practice transform the intimate lives of women who had all but given up on feeling again. I want to share a story that has stayed with me for years. A couple, I'll call them Margaret and Robert, both in their early 70s, came to see me together. Margaret was quiet almost, apologetic as she explained, "Doctor, I think we're just too old for all of us now." Robert sat beside her, eyes down, hands folded in his lap. I could feel the ache between them, not anger, but distance. The kind that builds slowly and silently when two people love each other deeply but have stopped reaching. As we talked, Margaret admitted something she had never said out loud before. "I don't let him near me anymore," she whispered. "Everything feels different, and I'm afraid he'll notice." And then, barely above a whisper, she added, "I miss the way we used to be." I gave them a few gentle steps, the breathing, the preparation, no goals, no pressure, just exploration. 2 months later, they came back. Margaret's face was different. She laughed. She held his hand the entire appointment. She looked at me and said, "Doctor, I thought that part of our marriage was gone forever." But it wasn't gone. It was just asleep. That is the truth I want every woman watching this today to carry with her. Now let me be clear about what to expect and when, because this is a process, not a switch. In the first week of practicing the breathing and mindset shifts, most women notice a quiet reduction in anxiety around intimacy and a gentle sense of reconnection with their own bodies. By weeks 2 to 4, many report increased natural comfort, heightened sensitivity, and a warmth returning to their relationship that had gone missing. Between 2 and 3 months of consistent, gentle engagement, the changes become significant: stronger emotional bond, improved tissue health, better sleep, and a sense of vitality that reaches well beyond the bedroom. This is not an overnight fix. It is a reclamation. And the beautiful thing about reclamation is that it only gets richer the further you go. Now, before anything else, if there is one thing I need you to take away from everything we have talked about today, just one truth you carry with you when this video ends, let it be this: intimacy is not a chapter that closes at 50, 60, or even 70. It is a living, breathing part of who you are, and it can grow richer, deeper, and more meaningful with every passing year if you allow it to. Oral intimacy in particular is one of the most powerful ways to reconnect with your partner, to celebrate your body exactly as it is, and to honor the relationship you have built together. When you approach it with presence, care, and the quiet confidence that you deserve to be loved this way, it does not just feel good. It heals, emotionally, physically, and relationally, in ways that will genuinely surprise you. The act is not about performance or youth. It is about connection, devotion, and celebration. It is about showing up fully with trust, courage, and openness. And when you do, you may discover that the best years of passion are not behind you. They are still ahead, waiting to be embraced with joy, confidence, and curiosity. Every woman has the right to claim this intimacy, to receive pleasure without shame, and to experience the profound emotional, physical, and relational benefits it brings. The choice is yours. Step forward with courage. Embrace your body. Honor your desire and allow connection to flourish. Age is not a barrier. It is an invitation. If this video spoke to you today, please subscribe and join our community, where we have the conversations most doctors still won't. This is Dr. Lila Romano, and I will see you in the next video.